So my testimony is really just like many other young Christians who were raised up in a Christian home. My mom and dad were Christians while I was growing up. I remember when I was 7 years old, I was laying in my bed and I called my dad and mom in the room, and I used to always, Mom, Dad, so they would run in, and I remember saying, I want to accept Jesus. And they were so happy, and they helped me pray through the prayer, but I didn't quite get it at the time. I really loved the man I'd heard Jesus to be, but I didn't quite get it. So I grew up a little bit. I was in middle school and rededicated at that point my life to Christ, and I was sort of following all the way through. And then 9th grade came around of high school, and that was when I started to fall away and not care so much about my belief and not really dive into it. And that lasted all the way through about 12th grade of high school. 12th grade, I started dating this girl, and I could have cared less about anything else in the world at that point. And she went off to college, and I remember just being in that struggle of where I was in life. I wasn't going to school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I remember wanting to go to God about it, but not really caring what he wanted for me. And I just wanted to do things on my own. I had been going back and forth to Virginia to visit this girl, and eventually we broke up, and I was heartbroken over it. And that's when I had a real moment of brokenness. I had sort of hit rock bottom. I didn't really know where else to go except to church on a Friday night. I walked in and they were doing worship, and I just sort of sat in the back corner by myself. That had happened the day before. And I just remember breaking down in the back and just crying. And then Sunday rolled around, and I was still just torn up. And I remember playing the drums that Sunday morning, and I was going through, and there was a drum solo, and I'm going into it, and the Lord just hit me and was like, I'm not going to leave you. I have always been here. I love you. And this is the love you need to be seeking first in your life. And like at that moment, I almost screwed it up. I didn't screw up my drum solo, but in that moment, it was just like I was hit with this unimaginable love that I was just so in awe of. And like since that moment, it was just like chased down. But one of the coolest parts about that testimony is that it didn't stop there. One of the things that God had shown me along the way was when I was driving down to Virginia one time, and I was having a real tough time about where I was going. I was in the car, and I have Christian music on, and I was just praying, and driving is just where I tend to be able to listen to God the most. So I'm driving, and I have Christian music on, and the song Let It Rain by Jesus Culture came on. And I remember just being so angry and just screaming up at God, like, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what to do. If you have a plan for me, I need to know it. And then I heard the words, let it rain, open the floodgates of heaven. And I was like, oh, isn't that a great idea? If you want me, let it rain and show me that you want me, that you have plans for me. I'm driving, and then all of a sudden, like, just raindrops started hitting the windshield of my car, and I was like, no way. And sure enough, it just started downpouring, and that was the moment I knew that there was something I was called for. Flash forward to a couple months ago, I just finished filming a music video called Grace Like Rain. Hopefully you all have seen. Phenomenal music video. Plug for Cross. I just finished filming the music video Grace Like Rain down in North Carolina with Jason. And I was driving home, and it was really late at night, and it was pitch black. There was fog as far as the eye could see, and I could hardly make out the 10 feet in front of me. It was intense fog. I remember going down, driving home, and I was just in another conversation with the Lord. I'd been listening to a couple sermons, but I was struggling with some stuff, and I was like, God, like, I know you have plans for me because of the last time. I know you have plans, but I don't know what they are, and I'm starting to doubt. And I was like, again, Let It Rain by Jesus Culture is on. And I was like, I know I shouldn't ask, but I need to see this again. I need that confirmation in my life. And that's when I felt like he was like, son, if you want this, you at least have to try. Reach up and grab the rain. I was like, that's ridiculous. I was in the car by myself, so nobody was watching, but I still felt awkward. It's like, reach up and grab the rain. So sure enough, I reached up to the metaphorical sky, which was the roof of my car, and just sort of pulled down. And I could almost feel this like tension as I pulled, and I'm pulling and I'm pulling. And suddenly a raindrop, just one, smacks my windshield, and I was like, wow. So do it again, and sure enough, a couple more. I was like, well, that's amazing. I started crying. I was like, thank you, God. I know I didn't even deserve to get that. I'm so glad you're so present that you want to show me that there's plans for me. To which they were just little raindrops, just little bits here and there. And I felt God say, is that all you wanted? The little raindrops? Or are you called to more? And I was like, God, I'm called to bigger things than these little raindrops. I'm called to greater things than this. I know I am. So he said, grab it. So I reached up and I combed through the clouds with my fingers and combed through and just pulled it right down onto my car over my head. And that's when just splatter after splatter of downpour, drenching rain slammed my car. And it was at that moment that I knew that God had massive plans for me. No matter if I saw it right now or if I didn't, that he has his hand over my life. And that's when God really showed himself to me.